All right, well, hey everybody. There's been a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes for what I call the STEM coding learning management system, and we've made some what I think is, incremental and substantial progress in improving this site. And so I just want to outline some of the changes that we've been working on this summer. This is summer 2024. And some of them we've been working on for a long time, but these are the new things that are available to you if you're using the system. So what I want to do is some of these are going to be like nitty-gritty things that are a little bit like not earth-shaking, but others of it actually totally changing the workflow of how this thing actually happens. So I'm really excited to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the changes that affects both the students and the teachers, or maybe even more the student than the teachers, and then I'm going to talk about just the changes that the teachers would care about. So if you're a teacher, hold on tight because I'm going to get to you in just a minute. So one of the first changes is that, and it's a minor thing, but I think it's important, is that we changed this label here. So it used to say projects here, but now it says my work. And so it goes to the same screen. So if I click here, it's going to go to the same screen, which shows, projects on one side and then submissions on the other side. So that hasn't changed. Like I haven't changed anything about this screen, but the label of it is now says my work instead of projects, because there's more than just projects on this screen. There's also submissions. And so we changed that, which I thought was a sensible thing to do. So that's one thing that we changed. I'm going to come back to this in a second because there's an important change in the functionality to submissions that I'm going to talk about. Some things that we changed. We actually changed them to be back the way that they were. So what happened was that in early July, we propagated a change to this thing, which annoyingly created a thin vertical line here in the code editor for about 3 weeks. And it took me, and finally it annoyed me so much that I had to figure out how to remove it. So I figured out how to remove it. So the code editor is back to the same. For about 3 weeks, the code font was a little bit off. So instead of having green comments, it was gray comments. They were hard to read. So it's back to this almost the same code font that we had earlier. So those sorts of things are fixed. Other things that changed over the last month or so. This code editor now on some devices might be a little bit bigger. So this code editor now, the height of it is now smart enough to figure out what the height of your screen is and to adjust itself that way. And so on this screen it's not as obvious, but on my other computer the monitor is like tall, like not quite as wide as it is tall. So the monitor is a little bit more squarish than it is wide, if that makes sense. And on that thing, the code editor was just doing this, even though the whole monitor was doing it. So now that I changed it, if you have like a big desktop screen, it's going to take up more of that space. I also adjusted the iPad behavior so that if you're using the code editor on an iPad, it takes a little bit more of the screen. I'm recommending now that if you're using iPad, try to use the Chrome browser to take advantage of that. Because in the Safari, it's hard to figure out if you're using an iPad or if you're not using iPad. So anyway, I recommend Chrome on iPad if you're going to use an iPad. Other minor things, there's a little extra space here that was just sort of like this, an extra new line that was here. So I got rid of that. So you get a little bit more space on your screen to do the coding part, which is important, I feel like. So those sorts of things are things that we either fixed from breaking them or we slightly improved from what they were. All right, now here is what I think is a really interesting and a new feature that I think is pretty important. So I just opened this code, right? So I can run this code like normal. I just hit run code, and Everything works fine, like normal, right? So I might make a change to this code, something simple, change the velocity to 10, whatever. I'm going to save the project, and this is going to work the same as it was before, right? So it already knows what the name is. I'm going to go ahead and save the project. And now I'm going to go to this screen, right? And now that I've saved the project, again, the teacher can't see it yet. Just because I saved the project doesn't mean the teacher can see it. But once you click submit, and this is the way that it's worked for a long time, but once you click submit, then your teacher, you can send it to your teacher, and your teacher can see what you did, right? So this is all the same, right? So nothing's changed here just yet, right? And so you can see if you go back to the my work page, you can see that I just submitted this code to this activity, right? So this is all the same as it's been for years now. I'm going to show you the difference though. I'm going to show you the new part, right? So I click this submission. So let's say that the submission got graded and I need to make a change to it. I can click this. I can edit this submission, right? That's, clicking edit the submission, that's the same as before. But look at this. What is this? Look at that. This is different now, okay? This used to say save project, right? So it used to be that once you submitted the code and you had to make a change, you had to open it back up again. Remember, I changed it to 10, so this is a modified code, right? So I've opened it back up again, and I need to make more changes to it. But instead of saving the project and then clicking submit, and then going to that page, making sure it's the right activity, clicking submit again, now all I have to do is click resubmit, okay? And it's just in one step. So I'll make another minor change to this thing. So I'm going to, instead of velocity of 10, I'm going to give it a velocity of 20. And now I'm just going to click resubmit. So I'm not going to create a new project. I'm just going to create a new submission with this code. Okay. So now that I click the button, I get to this screen. So it doesn't show me the whole list of activities that I can submit to. None of that. I just jump straight to this screen. And similar to the other screen, where I had the whole list of activities, you could add a link. Maybe you have a Google Doc you want to link to. This, I just want to be clear, this is optional. Like, it depends on what your teacher tells you to do. You can put a comment there and say, I fixed the thing in my code. Something like that. So you can go ahead and put a comment there or not. I mean, it's optional, right? Just because these are there doesn't mean they have to have anything in them. And then you just click resubmit. There you go. And now I have a second submission to this same activity. And if I go to my work, again, you'll see that over on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a second submission here. And this second submission, if I edit it, it shows that the velocity is 20 because I changed it to be 20, right? So this just simplifies the workflow, and yeah, I think it's a really cool feature. I'm really glad we finally could simplify it in this way. I've been wanting to simplify it for a very long time, and I finally managed to simplify it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to talk about some things from the teacher perspective. And that things that they might care about. So the students, thanks, but you can go back to whatever you're doing now, all right? Okay, so the first thing to say for the teachers is that we fixed a thing that previously wasn't broken, but then we broke it for 3 weeks and then we fixed it again. So a thing that was broken was that you couldn't change the order of these courses. So there was for most of July, you weren't able to actually change the order of these courses for the students, which is really annoying because you'd have Lab 2 appearing before Lab 1 and that sort of thing. But now you can just sort of drag and order the activities as you like. So that's working again. It worked, and then it broke, and then we fixed it again, and that's working. All right, so that's one message. The next improvement for the teachers or new feature, whatever. So let's go to the gradebook. So I just submitted this activity a minute ago, right? I'm going to look at this submission in the gradebook if it lets me. Let's see. Here we go. So this is my submission now. A slight difference from before is that it now says the time at which it was submitted, and it's telling me in my local time. So it was, it's 4 o'clock here where I am. So that's a feature. So a teacher asked me to put in that feature, and so I went ahead and added that feature. So not a huge deal, but I feel like that's helpful for some people. All right. So another feature that we almost have working, not quite there, is that soon you'll be able to remove students from your course here. There'll be a little button that appears. So that's coming. We don't quite have it yet, but that's going to appear pretty soon. Now, bear in mind, though, you can only remove students if they've not submitted any work, right? So if they have submitted work, the default is to hold on to that work so that the system's configured to try to make sure you don't accidentally delete student records, if that makes any sense. And so, but you can still, like later on, you could just delete the whole course, and that would delete all the student records, if that makes any sense. So anyway, so being able to delete students from your course, maybe students who didn't submit anything, that's going to be coming on the site pretty soon. Another thing, I think I said this in the earlier update, is that when you go and you grade a submission, again, this is not necessarily new, but it's new for 2024. Again, when you go and you grade a submission, it should send some sort of an email to the student. So your students, just to get everybody a heads up, your students might be getting emails every time you grade one of their submissions, give feedback on one of their submissions. So just be aware of that, and that should hopefully help them to realize, like, the teacher really cares about what I'm putting into this code and how I'm modifying it, and how, because a lot of times if the students sense that things aren't being graded, then they just won't do them, right? So that's just, so as a reminder, the emails should be sending out. We have some issues with getting the emails to Gmail addresses, but they should be, I believe it's working okay, is what I've heard. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about, and I think this is a really cool feature, is that there's kind of an anti-cheating thing now on this site. And one of the big, great features of this site is that as you go through these activities, and this is just one example, but there are many others. As you go through these activities, there's various links in the description that tell you how the code should behave. So at this point, this thing should behave in the following way. Not a video, not an image, but an actual working version of the program to help students realize, like, well, my program doesn't do exactly that thing, and what is it about my code that's not quite right? So the thing is that a savvy student might realize that because this is a working and complete version of the JavaScript program, that it's possible to go into the source of this page and to click on this thing and to figure out how in the world that we're getting the thing to do that, right? It used to be that this would look pretty much identical to the correct response in the code editor. We've changed it now, so everything is kind of mushed together, and the order might be changed and all these sorts of things. So that's to try to make it harder for the student to cheat. So we hope that with this, it's as difficult to think critically about what's going on to improve the code as it is to sort of peek at what's going on under the hood. So that's a new feature that we've been working on for a while that is finally kind of in there. So that's about it. We're going to continue to make small to medium-sized changes to this site as it gets better, and yeah, we're still working actively on it. And let us know what we can improve for you and what headaches that you're having. So thanks for your attention.